What's up, everyone? It's Lucas Chikela here. Hope you're doing great. Hope you're doing well. It's a cold day today. Well, where I'm at. Anyway, maybe it's hot where you are. But hope you're having a nice day. Hope you're having a great day. It's Monday. Some people don't like Mondays, but you should always try and do something on a Monday. So I'll get on with the video for today. But before I get on with the video, if you haven't done so, please subscribe to the channel. It really massively helps. The support really massively helps, and also please like the video if you happen to like the content that I'm going to share today, and please push the notification bell so that you can get notified each time I post a new video. I always say please push the notification bell. I don't know really, but yeah, please push that notification bell so that you can get notified each time I post a new video. Now for today, obviously the Premier League season started on Friday. As I made the video on Friday, and I posted a video about Arsenal going to play against Crystal Palace on Friday, and then I looked at the games that are going to play over the weekend. I mainly looked at the games for the Big Six. I predicted the results, but I don't think I actually got one right. Because I said Arsenal were gonna win 3-1, they won 2-0. And then I said Liverpool are gonna win 4-0, they drew 2-2. And then I said Tottenham are gonna win, I think I said 3-0 if I remember correctly, but they won 4-1. And then I said Chelsea are gonna win 2-0. Did I say? I think I said 2-0 for Chelsea. It was 1-0. And then I said Man United are gonna draw 1-1. They lost 2-1 to Brighton. I think I'll make a separate video about Man United. But I will talk about their result in this one. But I want to make a video about their transfer activity as well. And then City, I said, are going to win 2-1 against West Ham, but they won 2-0. The big Norwegian, Haaland, has arrived, scored 2 goals. A lot of people are saying he was a clown for missing a chance in the Community Shield, and he scores 2 goals. So I like them with the mental strength from him there. But yeah, so I don't think I didn't get any of the results right, but obviously maybe I'll get one over the season, over the course of the season. But anyways, if we start on where basically if we all go where it all started on Friday with Arsenal against Crystal Palace. As I said many times, I was looking forward to that game for Arsenal because I wanted to see whether they learned from last season, whether their mentality had changed from last season, because I knew that it was going to be a tough game for Arsenal, even though in the first 20 minutes, first 30 minutes, they played some of the best football that you will ever see throughout the season, whereby they were pressing high. Like Crystal Palace couldn't get out. They were being pressed by Arsenal. Arsenal were like their passing was crisp. It was smooth. They were pressing. Gabriel Jesus has really been a good signing for them. His energy in terms of what he offers when he's pressing and all of that stuff. So they were really good in the first 20 minutes, first 30 minutes, and I think they scored. And then obviously, it all went like the Crystal Palace then came into the game. They had a few good spells late on in the first half, but they didn't really score. Obviously, then second half, really, Crystal Palace came out the blocks. They really started playing through the press of Arsenal. They started playing long balls to Zaha. Sorry for that. I was just demonstrating that they started playing long balls from Zaha. The guy Anderson, I think his surname is Anderson. I forgot his name. He plays for Crystal Palace though, at centre back. He was the one who was pinging balls from centre back to Zaha, to Elise, and to Mateta, the Crystal Palace players. But it was mainly Zaha that they were looking for because they wanted him to get an isolation with Ben White, because Ben White was deputizing at right back because Tomiyasu, who's Arsenal's first choice right back, was injured. So they wanted to isolate Ben White in one-on-one situations against Wilfried Zaha. And Zaha got past Ben White a few times, but Ben White did relatively well in terms of defending Zaha. But the other guy that really impressed me with regards to Arsenal was William Saliba, the guy who was playing at centre-back for them. Now, Arsenal fans were already getting carried away, some Arsenal fans, and comparing him to Virgil van Dijk, saying that he's going to be better than him. Others saying that he's better than him. Pump the brakes a little bit. Obviously, it's just one game, but I was really impressed with William Saliba in terms of his aggressiveness, like with the tackle, his heading ability, his awareness with regards to, okay, let me give the ball to the goalkeeper now, let me pass to my centre-back partner, and also he's really good on the ball. He can pick a pass. He can drive with the ball. So I was really impressed with William Saliba. I thought he really looked good, to be honest, for Arsenal. And I think there's a lot of people who actually said, I think they think he's actually better than Ben White, and I agree with them because he's really aggressive in terms of his defending. He's like a no nonsense defender, whereby you're going at him and he's determined to make sure that he comes out on top. He's one of those centre backs whereby this guy, you look at him, is like he likes to defend. He's tall, he's quick. So I think he's a really good player. To be honest, I think he was man of the match in that game. And then obviously, I think Mikel Arteta would have been impressed with the second half of that game than the first half. Even though, as I said, in the first half, in the first 20 minutes, first 30 minutes, they played some of the best football that you'll see this season. Their energy levels, their pressing, their intensity was really good in that first 20, 30 minutes of the game. But the reason why I say I think Mikel Arteta is going to be impressed with the second half of that game more than the first half is because in the second half, Arsenal were on the ropes. Crystal Palace were putting them under pressure because Crystal Palace were now attacking. They were now getting isolations with Zaha, one-on-one isolations. Even though Saliba, as I've already said, he really stood firm. But Crystal Palace were knocking on the door. They were getting corners. They were attacking. They were pressing Arsenal, and Arsenal looked a little bit jaded. They looked a little bit leggy. But what impressed me the most, and I'm sure what would have impressed Arteta the most, is that they were able to withstand that storm. They were able to weather the storm, and against the run of play, when Crystal Palace looked like they were on top, it was one counter attack from Arsenal, and they scored with Saka, and then it was a 2-0 lead. The crowd was starting to get up because Crystal Palace were getting in the game, but immediately when Saka scored that second goal, the crowd is killed dead because it's a 2-0 lead, 15 minutes to go. They know they're not going to win the game. Therefore, the stadium just goes flat, and Arsenal have a win on the bag. They just need to keep a clean sheet from then on until the end of the game. So I think it was really impressive from Arsenal's point of view with the fact that they were able to weather the storm when Crystal Palace were on top of them, and they were able, against the run of play, to score. If it was Manchester City who was doing that, or if it was Liverpool, people would say that's what champions do. When you don't play well, and when the opposition is on top of you, you find a way to score, which is what Arsenal did. So I think that was really impressive from Arsenal's point of view. I think it was really good from them with the fact that they were able to weather the storm when Crystal Palace were on top of them, and they were able to score against the run of play. I think Arteta would have been really impressed with that because there are games where you're not going to play well. You can't play well every game. You can't have a perfect performance every game. Sometimes the players are tired, and there's nothing you can do about that. They're playing their second game in 3 days. They have not fully recovered. So there will be times in the season where you're tired. So you can't have, you don't have that energy of pressing all the time. And whenever the energy goes, your pass is basically fitness is an important aspect of the game because it affects your ability to think. When you're tired and you're really, really tired and you kind of panting, then that affects kind of it affects your thinking. You think much slower if you are really tired than when you are really fresh. So that's why I'm saying it was really impressive from Arsenal, the fact that there was a period in the game when Crystal Palace were on top of them, when Crystal Palace looked like they are going to score, and then Arsenal, they were able to defend that situation. They were able to weather the storm, and then minutes later, after Crystal Palace had attacked, they counter-attacked Crystal Palace, and then they scored from that situation. So I think that was really impressive from Arsenal, and I think Arteta would have been really happy with the performance of his team. Obviously, they won 2-0. Good start to the season, unlike last season when they lost 2-0 to Brentford. And it was an away game. Away games are always difficult in the Premier League, especially against Crystal Palace. Really difficult stadium to go to. The fans are noisy. The pitch is really small. So because the pitch is really small and the crowd is closer to the pitch, the noise levels massively go up. It's not like a big stadium like you see for West Ham United. Even though it's a big stadium and it's a 60,000 capacity stadium, because it's an Olympic stadium and the crowd is quite far from the pitch, that reduces the noise levels a little bit. Whereas at Crystal Palace, the pitch is really small and the crowd is closer to the pitch. So the noise levels like that basically makes the noise levels really go up. So it's a really difficult place to go to. And there are a lot of teams who struggled against Crystal Palace last season when they went to Selhurst Park. But Arsenal started off on a good note, so that was a good win for them. Onto the games on Saturday. The first game, obviously, early kickoff was the Liverpool game against Fulham. As I've already said, I backed Liverpool to win 4-0 in that game because I didn't think, obviously Fulham are coming from the Championship. They're a good side, but I didn't think that they were going to be able to withstand the pressure of Liverpool. And obviously I was surprised because I actually watched the game. And I think a draw was the least Fulham deserved. Like, you can't say in that game Fulham deserved to lose. The only way they were going to lose was basically because they have less quality than Liverpool. You see, in some games, especially Man United fans are going to know this, in some games you don't play well. But because you're playing against a team that has a lot of quality, they score against you, then they beat you. Even though you played better than them, you struggle to beat them because they just have more quality than you. But in that game against Fulham, really, I really deserved that. Fulham, like the least Fulham, I really felt like the least Fulham deserved was a draw. Because apart from the goals they actually scored, because they scored 2 goals, it was a 2-2 draw. Apart from the goals that Fulham scored, they actually had a couple of chances, and there was one chance where I forgot the name of the guy. He took a shot and then he beat Alisson, but it hit the post. So there's quite a few opportunities that Fulham had in the game where on another day they could have scored. So I was really surprised with how Fulham played. Really played well. Mitrovic, rightfully so, was the man of the match. He was a nightmare for Van Dijk and all the other defenders. He got a penalty from Van Dijk because he kept running at them. And because he's a big lad and he's powerful, it's hard to kind of brush him aside on the ball. Once he starts getting on his stride and he starts running with the football, it's really difficult to get him off his stride because he's powerful, because he's big, because he's a tall striker with strength. So it's really difficult to get the ball off him once he starts running with the ball. Obviously, he scored the first goal, the header on the back post. Obviously, Trent could have done better in that situation in terms of making it a little bit difficult for Mitrovic to score from that chance. But again, good goal from Mitrovic. And there was a good cross from I think it was Tete. I think he was the right back for Fulham. It was a good cross from him. And then Mitrovic scored. And then the second goal for Fulham was obviously a penalty. I think there are a couple of people who were saying that it's not clear in terms of whether that's a penalty or not. I think in the modern day game, in modern day football, maybe 15 years ago, that wouldn't have been a penalty. But right now, that's always going to be a penalty because Mitrovic is running at Virgil van Dijk, and then he basically shifts the ball from his right foot to his left foot. And then, like when he's about to get past Van Dijk dangles out a leg. So he puts his leg out, and then he makes contact with his knee, with Mitrovic's knee. That's always going to be a penalty. The striker in that situation is always going to go down, and it's always going to be given as a penalty. So yes, you can debate in terms of saying that was not a penalty, it's soft or whatever, but in modern day football, in today's game, that is always going to get given as a penalty. And Liverpool fans, if that was against them, if it was Darwin Núñez who was tripped by a centre-back of Fulham or another team, in that same situation, they would have wanted a penalty. So I think, yes, you can argue, but I think that's always going to be it's always going to be a penalty, in my opinion. So I actually think it was a poor challenge from Van Dijk. In fact, not a poor challenge, but it was a poor decision made by Van Dijk. It was a lazy decision because I don't think Mitrovic was not going anywhere in that situation. I think it was Robertson who was coming across, and Mitrovic, once he shifts the ball from his right foot to his left foot, he's going to get through on goal. The keeper can come. The keeper, Alisson, and Alisson is very good whenever he faces a one-on-one situation, he always kind of comes from his goal, and then he makes himself big so that it's a difficult situation for the striker in terms of finding the right finish. So I think it was a lazy and poor decision made by Van Dijk in terms of going for that challenge and dangling out his leg, because that was always going to be a penalty in my opinion. So I think that I didn't understand that from Van Dijk, because I really rate Van Dijk as one of the best centre-backs, if not the best centre-back in the world. So I think it was a poor and lazy decision from his point of view.
And then I think also another thing that I noticed in the game was that Fulham matched Liverpool with the duels. Like all the 50-50s in the game, I felt like were won by Fulham. That's why I was saying I thought the least that Fulham deserved from the game was a draw because they matched Liverpool in terms of intensity, in terms of work ethic, in terms of the desire. Like I didn't see like usually when you watch Liverpool play, they have more desire, they play at a higher intensity, they play with more energy than the opposition. No matter how hard the opposition actually tries and match Liverpool in terms of intensity, energy levels, and in terms of pressing and all of that stuff, they like apart from Manchester City, there's no other club really that kind of matches Liverpool in terms of that pace, that power, that pressing, that energy in the game. And I felt like yesterday, really, well, not yesterday, but on Saturday, Fulham matched Liverpool blow for blow in terms of the intensity, in terms of energy levels, in terms of their desire on the football pitch. So that's why I thought Fulham really deserved because they won all the 50-50s in the game. So that's why I really felt like they deserved to thingy. They deserved to at least get a draw on the game. And then obviously looking on the Liverpool side of things, as I've already said, I didn't think Liverpool I didn't think Liverpool deserved to win the game in terms of they didn't match Fulham in terms of the duels. They didn't match Fulham in terms of the 50-50s in the game. So I really felt like Liverpool didn't deserve to win. And that performance was uncharacteristic of a Liverpool team because Liverpool always they always give 100%. They always have the desire. They always play with a high intensity. They always play with high energy levels. And those energy levels and that intensity were just not there on Saturday. So I really felt like Liverpool didn't deserve to win. It was an uncharacteristic, poor performance from a Liverpool point of view, as well as Fulham played. It was really an uncharacteristic performance from Liverpool because you don't usually see a performance like that from Liverpool. It was as if like Liverpool showed up at Craven Cottage on Saturday and they felt like they had a right to win the game. They felt like we finished second last year, 1 point behind the champions. We made the Champions League final. We're better than these guys. So we're just going to show up and we're going to win the game. Obviously, the Premier League doesn't work like that. If you're going to come to a game with a mentality that you're just going to show up and you're not going to match the opposition in terms of the physicality, the desire, the energy, the work ethic, you're going to lose or you're going to draw. You're not going to win. You're not going to beat a Premier League side by basically not showing those three things: effort, desire, work ethic. If you're not going to possess those things in a football game in the Premier League, you are not going to win. So I really felt like it was an uncharacteristic, complacent performance from Liverpool, and obviously. As I've said, when you've watched Liverpool over the years, you expect better from them. So I expect them to be better for their next game next weekend. But I felt like Fulham really played well in that game, and they really impressed me. And then going on to the other games that played on Saturday, obviously I think Tottenham played against Southampton, and then Chelsea played against Everton. So I've gone through Liverpool, Arsenal. Then the games I played on Saturday, it was Southampton, Tottenham, and then it was Chelsea, Everton. Am I not forgetting something? Was there another team that played in terms of the big six? I'm just trying to think it. So Arsenal, Tottenham, Chelsea, Liverpool. Oh, I'm not forgetting anything. Yeah. I'm not forgetting anything. There were 3 games of the big six on Saturday. I've gone through the Liverpool one. So now the Tottenham one. Tottenham played against Southampton. Obviously, I said Southampton are going to lose 3-0 in that game. They lost 4-1. So not really surprised in terms of the result with Tottenham. Obviously, Tottenham went behind the game. But that can always happen. First day of the season, you're a little bit leggy. You're a little like you lose focus a little bit. Then Southampton, bam, they score. But apart from Southampton scoring, the rest of the game they were really not there. Tottenham really played them. They played their football. They played with a high intensity. Then they scored the goals. Great performance from Kulusevski. Got a goal and got an assist. Obviously, Kane and Son did not score, but I think Son got an assist. Kane looked a little bit leggy in the game, but I was really not surprised with the performance from Tottenham. They're coached by Antonio Conte, a world-class manager. He's not like he expects the top level in terms of performances from his players. And as you saw in preseason, when Tottenham were training, I think in Seoul, in South Korea, some of the players were fainting because of the energy levels and because of the intensity that Conte was basically like because of the intensity of Conte's training methods. So I think I wasn't surprised with the result with regards to Tottenham. Obviously, a lot of Tottenham fans are saying they're going to win the league because they beat Southampton 4-1. I wouldn't get carried away if I was a Spurs fan. Honestly, Southampton, we all don't know. Like some people are touting thingy Southampton to get relegated for this upcoming season. We don't know what we're going to see from Southampton. They've signed a lot of young players on their team. Like they were the new signings that were on their team are youngsters. Some of them have come from the Manchester City academy, so they're putting all their faith really on young players. Yes, they still have a player like James Ward-Prowse, who's a really good player, really world-class free kick taker, number one free kick taker in the world in my opinion. Because when you look at the guy in terms of striking a free kick, I don't think I've seen anyone better strike a free kick probably since David Beckham. Like the person I would compare James Ward-Prowse to in terms of free kicks is David Beckham, because the technique that he strikes a free kick with, like he strikes the ball with when he's taking a free kick, is really second to none in my opinion. But apart from James Ward-Prowse, they really don't have players that are good enough. The defenders, like they really like the guy Salisu. I think he's a good defender, but it was shambolic in terms of his clearance that turned into an own goal against Tottenham. So really poor performance from Southampton. Yes, Spurs played well. They played very well for that matter. You can even say that, but I don't think I would get carried away if I was a Tottenham fan from that performance, because honestly, Southampton could be in a relegation battle this season. So I don't think there's much to talk about in that situation. Then obviously going on to the late kickoff on Saturday, which was Chelsea against Everton at Goodison Park. As I said last week, I think Everton are going to give Chelsea a good game, because Everton at Goodison Park are a very difficult side to play against, because the crowd, it's the same situation I was talking about with regards to Arsenal versus Crystal Palace. The pitch at Goodison Park is a small pitch. Therefore, the crowd is really close to the football pitch. So the noise levels that the supporters make, that there's kind of like an added effect in terms of to the noise level. I don't know if that's the right way to put it, but basically the noise levels are kind of like extra at grounds, like at football grounds like Goodison Park and Selhurst Park, because the football pitches are smaller and the supporters, the stands are much closer to the ground. The noise levels that are created by that effect are really up there in terms of like the loudest in the country. So I think Goodison Park is a really a difficult stadium to play in whenever you're playing against Everton at Goodison Park. I thought Everton, they didn't really, you can't say they played well, but you also can't say they played bad. Like they were not like shambolic. They did not put a poor performance, but in terms of attacking wise, they're not good enough. They need someone. Obviously, Dominic Calvert-Lewin is currently injured at the moment, but they need something going forward so that they can be able to score goals. Because at no point in time against Chelsea did they look like they were going to score a goal. And I think I'm saying this for Everton. You could also say it for Chelsea, because as brilliant as Raheem Sterling was, because Sterling was really sharp in that game and he scored, but his goal was disallowed because it was offside. But Chelsea, like whenever you watch them play, they don't actually like, you never fear that they're gonna put four past you. Like they don't look like scoring. They need that striker, that person who has like almost like that nous of knowing where to be, when to be, in order to be able to score a goal. And they don't have any of those types of players. And they just lost Werner. Obviously, Werner was not necessarily good at Chelsea. So I think Chelsea, as I said, in my predictions, the video I made about predictions, I did not put them in my top four for those reasons that they don't look like scoring. Yes, they defended well against Everton whenever they had to, but they didn't really look like scoring in the game. That's what I took from the game when I was watching the game, and with Everton as well. And then Everton, like, they defended well throughout the whole game, but there was one moment of stupidity from Decore where he panicked when Chilwell went in behind him, because Chilwell moved from his position of left wing back and tucked in to the midfield. And then when Koulibaly got the ball, Chilwell made a run into the box and Koulibaly picked him out. And then Decore panicked because Chilwell was in the box, and then he pushed Chilwell. As a result, penalty was given, and then Jorginho scored the penalty. Apart from that situation, Chelsea didn't really look like scoring in the whole game. So I think they have a good squad. I would have liked to see Conor Gallagher play, because as I've said, this is not a dig on Jorginho or anything, but Jorginho, apart from keeping the ball, he doesn't offer you much more. He's not a goal scorer. He scores penalties, but he's not a goal scorer from open play. And he makes some good passes from time to time, but he's not a consistent great passer of the football. So I would have liked to see Conor Gallagher. Not that I'm saying Conor Gallagher is a better passer than Jorginho, but certainly Conor Gallagher is a better goal-scoring midfielder than Jorginho. So I think he could add some goals to the Chelsea side. So I would have liked to see Conor Gallagher play for Chelsea, but obviously he came off the bench because Tuchel started Jorginho. But yeah, I don't think Chelsea were that great. They were not poor, but they were not great. So they kind of like they were in between. Same with Everton. One moment of stupidity for Everton with regards to Decore pushing Chilwell led to a penalty. Decisive moment in the game. Jorginho scores it, and that's how they win the game. And then yeah, that's what I took from the Chelsea game. Then on to the Sunday games. Obviously, Man United, shambolic, shocking. I don't know what else you can say, to be honest, about Man United. And I've got no dog in the fight, really. I know United fans like jumping up and down and kind of all the whole thing about rivalry and all of that stuff. I don't like fighting. I don't like arguing in terms of we're the best club in the world or whatever, because that's what Man United fans all usually say. If you try and banter with them and all of that stuff, they start pulling out their whole history, the best club in England, whatever. I'm just giving a fair reflection of the performance that I saw when I watched them yesterday. They were really shocking against Brighton. Brighton were miles better than them in terms of effort, desire, shape. The Brighton midfielders, especially the holding midfielder Caicedo, Brighton probably paid less than £10 million for that guy. United paid £50 million for Fred. Obviously, McTominay comes from the academy, but United paid £50 million for Fred. And the guy who was playing for Brighton is better than Fred, because Fred couldn't even pick a pass in the game. Fred and McTominay are the most, they're a shocking pair in midfield. I would never criticize Fred for working hard, because he always gives his all, to be honest. I'll be fair on the guy. Fred, you can never say Fred hasn't worked hard enough today. He always puts in all his heart his heart and soul into the game. He always gives you maximum effort, but on the ball, he is shocking. Like, he's not good enough. If you want to make the top four, if you want to win the Premier League, you can't have Fred in your team. Honestly, you just can't, because the teams you're competing against, Man City, well, you're not competing against Manchester City United fans or Liverpool, because those teams are miles better than you. But the teams you're competing against for top four, Chelsea, Arsenal, Tottenham, those teams, their midfielders are miles better than Man United's midfield. I thought when Cristiano Ronaldo came into the game, they were a little bit better in terms of going forward. There was something that they could offer going forward. But Dalot was playing at right back, McTominay, Fred, those guys, they were less than 5 out of 10 for the game. As I said, I will never criticize Fred for not working hard, because he always works hard. But in terms of his quality on the ball, in terms of his ability on the ball, it's not there, to be honest. That's what you can, it's what I'm saying, that the Brighton midfielders were miles better than the Man United midfielders in the game. And that's where Brighton won the game, really, in that midfield battle, as well as Danny Welbeck. Danny Welbeck really played well. He was a presence as a striker. He made good runs in behind the defense, especially for the first goal Brighton scored, because Welbeck bent his run. I think it was the first goal, right? It was the first goal. He bent his run, in between the two centre backs, Lisandro Martinez and Harry Maguire, and then he went in behind the defence. Maguire's foot played Welbeck on. The Brighton guy, I forgot. I think it was Trossard. He played a ball into the space for Welbeck. Then Welbeck played the ball across the 6-yard box, and then the guy Pascal Gross, he scored. And then obviously the second goal, again, good build-up play from Man United, from these guys from Brighton. It started in Man United's own half with Trossard in the back heel. Then they progressed the ball. Fred was always chasing. Fred's positioning, as I've already criticized him with his quality on the ball, his positioning is not good enough as well, because he was playing as the holding midfielder, but he was all over the place in terms of his positioning. And Brighton were just playing through Man United like there was no one on the football pitch. And then obviously they scored that second goal. United, as I've said, were better in the second half. They scored from that corner, but Brighton deserved to win. 2-1 is not a fair reflection of the game. Brighton should have won that game 3-1, 4-1, probably. But because they don't have that quality going forward in terms of being clinical, they couldn't score more goals. But I thought Brighton were really brilliant. And I think Brighton always give a lot of teams a game, especially the top teams, because they can play. They can play football. They move the ball well. They have a good shape about them. And you always get a game when you play against Brighton and Hove Albion. So I thought, I like Graham Potter as a coach as well. I thought Brighton were really brilliant in that game. They really, really played well, to be honest. I was impressed with Brighton. I tried on Friday to give Man United the benefit of the doubt by saying that it was going to be a 1-1 draw, but I didn't feel like Man United were going to win that game because of how good Brighton are. And as Brighton showed it in the game, in that they were way better than Man United in the game in terms of their shape, in terms of their desire, in terms of their build-up play. In all facets of the football game, Brighton were miles better than Man United, especially in that first half. As I've said in the second half, United looked better, but Brighton deserved to win the game. Poor performance from Rashford, didn't get involved in the game. Poor performance from Sancho, also didn't get involved in the game. Fernandes was also not that involved. Christian Eriksen was probably the best performing player for Man United because he was getting on the ball, he was pinging passes to the wingers and all of that stuff. And I think that's what Man United should do more. Christian Eriksen, instead of starting as a false nine, he should be dropping deep so that he can link the defense to the attack. Because Fred and McTominay are not good enough in terms of linking the defense and the attack. You need a guy like Christian Eriksen, a guy like Frankie de Jong. Like if they had Frankie de Jong, it would be much better in terms of when the ball is with the goalkeeper gives it to Maguire. Maguire lays it off to de Jong. De Jong can take the ball on the turn, and therefore, once he takes the ball on the turn, he can start looking for passes to the wingers or to the midfielders so that the wingers can look for the attackers. So I think Man United really desperately need Frankie de Jong, because Frankie de Jong would be really good on the ball if he was playing in that position where Fred was playing. But yeah, I can't really get onto the de Jong transfer saga because that would take really long. But yeah, I thought Brighton deserved to win the game. And then on to the last game. Obviously, the champions were in action. City were in action. I smile when I say the champions. We are the champions, eh? It's really good times to be a Manchester City fan. All of you guys about glory followers and all of that stuff, I'm not interested, to be honest, because the majority of fans who accuse people of being glory followers, they actually support clubs who have a much better history than Manchester City. And you find out that most of the time, when those people started supporting their clubs were at the pinnacle of football and they were winning everything. If I was a glory follower, I wouldn't follow Manchester City. There's plenty of other clubs that win big trophies, bigger trophies than Manchester City. Real Madrid, for example. Real Madrid are the 14-time European Cup champions. They've won the Champions League 14 times. If I wanted to be a glory follower, I would support them because they win all the time. They win La Liga all the time. They win the Champions League all the time. I would support Man United because, like, when we were growing up, Man United were winning everything. So there's plenty of other clubs with a much greater history than Manchester City, with a much greater football heritage, that if you wanted to follow glory, you would follow them instead of following Manchester City. But I'm not making a video about glory followers and all that stuff here. Couldn't be bothered, to be honest. So I can't necessarily spend too much of my time talking about that. Going on to the performance with regards to Manchester City, Obviously, West Ham, as I said, it was going to be a difficult game. West Ham were going to sit back and they were going to try and counter-attack us. They were never going to try and play football with us because they know if they do that, we're going to wallop them. We're going to beat them 5-0 or 6-0. So they were always going to sit back and they were always going to wait for opportunities to counter-attack us, which that's exactly what they did. But in contrast to the performance of last season at London Stadium when we played West Ham, when we didn't have any defenders, the only fit centre-back we had was Laporte. Stones was injured, Diaz was injured, Walker was injured. So our backline was decimated with injuries and Fernandinho was playing at centre-back. He was bullied off the park by Antonio. Each time the ball went up, West Ham basically played, every time they had a goal kick, they played a long ball to Antonio. Antonio bullied Fernandinho, got the ball in his stride, started driving with the ball, laid a pass to Jared Bowen, and Jared Bowen did his thing, scored 2 goals. In contrast to that performance, now Manchester City had their backline back in order. They had Walker, they had Diaz, they had Ake, and they had Cancelo. Therefore, there was cohesion with regards to the defense. Every time the defenders went up, all of them went up. Like unlike last season when we played West Ham, where on the 2 goals that West Ham scored against us, the defense went up because we usually play a high line, and then Zinchenko dropped. And because he dropped, he played Jared Bowen on both occasions onside, and that's how we conceded both goals. But yesterday, the leader of the defense, Ruben Diaz, was there, organizing, orchestrating everything at centre-back, and therefore we were much better defensively. And West Ham kept trying, looking for Antonio, but Diaz was always close to him, and he never gave Antonio a chance to start running at people. If you give people like Antonio a chance to start running at you, you're then going to foul him, and you're going to give West Ham chances to put balls into your box, and then you're going to give them opportunities to score. But if you don't give them an out ball, if you don't allow Antonio to get involved in the game, then it's going to be an easier day for you than when you allow Antonio to get onto the ball. A perfect example is the Liverpool game against Fulham. Liverpool allowed Mitrovic to get onto the ball, and therefore Mitrovic started running at people. He's a powerful guy. You can't get him off the ball. The only way you can get him off the ball is by fouling him, and that's exactly what Liverpool did. Every time Mitrovic got into his stride, they kept fouling him. That gives Fulham a chance to ping balls into the box to get high up the pitch. So that's what we did yesterday. Never allowed Antonio to get into the game in terms of getting involved in the game. And as a result, that basically nullified everything West Ham tried to do on the offensive end. And then going on to Manchester City with regards to the performance, obviously, solid performance from Manchester City. There were a few errors in the second half that we did, like when Gundogan got the ball, I think, from Edison, and then he played a blind pass, but he got the technique of the pass wrong, and then he gave, I think it was one of the West Ham midfielders the ball. That attack, basically, that counter-attack from West Ham ended with a shot from Declan Rice, but it went over the bar and they didn't score, luckily. But apart from a few errors, really solid performance from the guys. Kept the ball. Gundogan was different class in the midfield, keeping the ball, progressing the ball. Haaland, different class. Because basically when the score was 0-0 and West Ham are playing the 2 banks of 4, playing a really defensive block so that we don't have any spaces to attack them, Haaland, basically as soon as Gundogan got into the ball, Haaland realized that he could run it behind the defense. Gundogan plays a clever pass in behind the defense. Haaland runs into the space. The keeper thinks he can get there, but because Haaland is quick, he gets there first. The keeper cleans out Haaland, gets a penalty. He takes the ball and then he scores the penalty. Another thing that impressed me about Haaland in particular in the game was the level of confidence that he oozes confidence into the team. And the reason I say that was because as soon as he was tripped and as soon as the ref blew the whistle for the penalty, he took the ball. And there was no argument with regards to him saying, okay, lads, who's going to take the penalty and all of that stuff. He immediately took the ball and he put it onto the penalty spot, and he was ready for the ref's whistle with regards to whistle, and then he takes the penalty and he scores. I like that confidence from a player. I wouldn't care even if he missed that penalty. I would have loved the confidence still of him just taking the ball, because I think too many times in our history, we have technical players like De Bruyne, Silva, Foden, Grealish, but they're all not that great in terms of taking penalties. If you actually if you have watched De Bruyne before take a penalty, he's not that great in terms of taking a penalty. You can go to YouTube if you don't believe me, but I've actually seen De Bruyne take a penalty and he's not that great, to be honest. So the best penalty taker we have, obviously there's Haaland now, but the best penalty taker is Mahrez, because Mahrez, like, the way he strikes the ball doesn't rely on the goalkeeper. See, how I view a great penalty taker is that even if the keeper dives in the right position, like in the right direction, you should still score. That's what I call a great penalty taker. So if you're gonna shoot and you're gonna rely on the goalkeeper diving in the wrong direction in order to score, then you're not a great penalty taker. But if you're a penalty taker and you can take penalties with such technique that if the goalkeeper dives in the right direction, he's still not going to save it. That's what I deem as a great penalty taker. And that's obviously what Haaland did yesterday as well, because he struck the ball on the corner where, with pace and power, where even if the keeper dived in the right position, in the right direction, I keep saying position, in the right direction, still he wouldn't have saved the ball. So I think we don't have a lot of great penalty takers on the team, but I was really impressed with the confidence from Haaland with regards to getting tripped. Referee's whistle goes for the penalty, takes the ball, he takes command of the situation, and then he dispatches the penalty quite brilliantly. And then obviously, again, we played some good stuff. We had a few sighters with regards to Kevin De Bruyne getting the ball from Foden and then hitting the ball across the 6-yard box. But Haaland was not in the same wavelength, so he made his run late, and therefore he couldn't reach that ball. With time, he's going to start reaching those balls, and he's going to start getting the understanding that as soon as De Bruyne gets into the ball, I need to get on my bike and I need to get into that 6-yard box because he's going to put it on a plate for me. So I think that's going to improve with time. But obviously the second goal, again, impressive. Simple ball, because Grealish holds the ball well on the left back position. He gives it to Rodri. Rodri takes a few touches, gives it to De Bruyne. And then De Bruyne passes the ball to Haaland. Haaland looks at the goalkeeper, finishes expertly, and then he scores the goal. 2 goals, win. So I was really impressed with Haaland's performance. And there's a couple of people who were saying they were disappointed in West Ham, and West Ham was shocking in the game. But I think West Ham found themselves in a predicament whereby they tried to do what they did last season against us, which worked. But as I've already said, the reason why that worked last season with regards to getting the ball to Antonio and start running at defenders was because the majority of our defenders and Ruben Diaz, who's the leader of our backline, was injured. And Walker was injured as well. But now we had those guys. So West Ham tried to do that in the first half, what they did last season, and it didn't work. In the second half, they tried to change in terms of they tried to start pressing us, they tried to attack us. But immediately when they did that, we got the chance with the one that I just mentioned when Foden passed the ball to De Bruyne and then De Bruyne passed it to Haaland. And Haaland was just a fraction late with regards to reaching that ball. And then immediately after that, West Ham tried to press us again. We played through their press, counter-attacking goal with Haaland. We scored the second goal. So as much as you can say West Ham were poor, they actually on the 2 times that they tried to press us, we got a sighter at goal where Haaland was a little bit late with regards to reaching the ball because he made his run a little bit late, and then the second time he scored. So as much as you can say West Ham were poor, I think it was just a matter of being conservative from them, because if they kept attacking us and they kept trying to press us, we're just going to pick them apart and we're going to score more goals. Obviously, if you have any comments with regards to that, if you think I'm biased with regards to that comment, you can make a comment on the section below. But yeah, I went through all the results of the weekend. In terms of my weekend preview of the result, weekend review, not preview because it's after the games. Weekend review of the Premier League games. If you like the video, please push the thumbs up button and give support to the channel. And also, if you haven't done so, please subscribe to the channel. That's all I have time for today. And please push that notification bell so that you can get notified each time I post a new video. Thank you for watching the video. Ciao.